We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. We the ones they the ones they can't skip. Fighting for respect, it's a tough road ahead. But we pack that heart and we never dread. Late hits and big plays, we bring in the heat. Watch out for the G5, we can't be beat. From the MAC to the Sun Belt, we don't back down. In this football jungle, we wear the crown. All the doubt is sleeping, but we making noise. In the G5 Hive, we the realest boys. When the clock's ticking down, we the ones that believe. One play, one chance, we gon' make them achieve. From the sidelines to the end zone, hear that roar. In the G5 Hive, we always wantin' more. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. So raise your flags high, let them wave in the air. In the G5 Hive, we the squad that's rare. With heart and grit, we rewriting the script. In the world of college football, we the ones they can't skip. Yeah.
Here's Navarro on the run. Navarro's going to keep it. Navarro for 6! Touchdown, Bobcat!
I feel I had a hard time staying in my own lane.
Oh my goodness! Red Murdoch! Pick 6!
Harvath inside the 30 to 20. Blake Harvath will score!
And Mendoza takes a big hit. He never saw it coming. Trey White got in there.
There's his man, Rucker. And nobody's going to catch him. Goodbye.
Intercepted! Tyree Skipper! Touchdown!
Telly again, why not? A step forward and make it 2 for Telly!
Quarterback keeper showing off the speed, steps on the gas, untouched!
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive, where we bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke. I am joined by my co-host, Justice. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. It helps with the algorithm. Something I do not understand, but the algorithms seem to got it figured out.
That's right. That's right.
Tonight, we will bring you up to speed on the news around the G5. Coaching stuff has been popping off here lately. We're going to review what went down in Week 14, set you guys up for success with our conference championship previews. Last week, we said we'd do our 2020 players tonight, but given kind of the light game schedule for next week, in the interest of time, we've decided to push that back to next week. However, graphics will be posted on X with offense on Tuesday and defense on Wednesday.
Yeah, man. It's end of the regular season for college football. It just goes by way too fast, man. Way too fast. I'm just like, I'm thinking like I was at the last ODU home game Saturday, and I'm just thinking, man, like it feels like I was just at freaking spring practice like 2 weeks ago, you know, and the season's already over. And it, I call it crazy seasons here, right? Like transfer portal, coaches, like all the craziness is going to hit at once. We're not going to talk too much about transfer portal. We'll do some stuff in January, February on that, because it's no point in like, you know, trying to track it now. Wait till the dust settles and then talk about it, right? End of the college fantasy football season. It was a fruitful year for me. I think I was in 12 or 13 college fantasy football leagues. I made the finals in 5 of them. I went 5-0 in my finals, and I went 1-1 in third place games. And then, Luke, man, you had an impressive showing in the Scott Fish Tadpole Bowl.
I got the shades on because 2025 was bright, not only for the G5 Hive, but your boy Luke, aka the #1 CFF content creator, according to Eric Froton. So Eric Froton, thank you, Scott Fish. If you guys are unfamiliar or you play NFL fantasy football, Scott Fish put on a Tadpole Bowl, which is the college equivalent to the NFL Scott Fish Bowl, with the help of the legend Eric Froton himself. Helped put that together. I was a part of a live draft with other content creators. I think about half or so were content creators.
Yeah.
In Minneapolis. I came out at a 408, I think, people. Your boy came in 4th overall, locking up the #1 content creator for college fantasy football. So there's that. I know we talk about a lot of real football here, but this is a chance, for me to tout the G5 Hive. I mean, we're taking over. This is like the playoffs. See, guys, the Tadpole Bowl was a P4 only. So, again, you give the G5 an opportunity to make some noise in the playoffs, let alone, let's talk real football, potentially 2 G5 teams to make some noise. I mean, I was there making noise each and every week. All I can say, like I said, 2025 was great. 2026 is going to be even better. And I don't know if it is with a lot of football or college or fantasy football players, but I feel like a lot of people have a little WWF side to them, or at least wrestling side to them. I am no different. And I just want to say to everyone out there who followed any of my work, our work with the G5 Hive, being the #1 content creator, I am the cream of the crop. And the cream always rise to the top. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, I mean, that pays homage to our macho man. But I'm Luke Probasco. I'm styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. And diamonds are forever. And so is this #1 championship for content creators. And next year, 2026, to be the man, you gotta beat the man.
Woo!
Woo! That is my fun.
The most impressive thing for me is, like you said, you were at a live draft, and by all accounts, like the live drafts were just harder because #1, you had a shorter period of time to pick. Like us that were in a regular drafts, like online drafts, we had like a couple hours to make a pick. You guys were making pick in like a minute and a half, whatever it was.
It was 2 minutes. You had 2 minutes to make a pick.
And then not only were you making the pick so much quicker, you also, like, in general, the level of competition at a live draft, people having to make an effort to go somewhere and draft, the level of competition is much higher. So that's like, to me, that's the most impressive part, right? Like, I was on an online draft, and I think there was like maybe 2 other names I recognized in my draft. The other were people that I could have been playing college fans football for the first time. Whereas, like in your case, like over half the participants were content creators themselves. So
or at
yeah,
least had played a lot.
Yeah. So just that's super impressive.
I think there was only maybe 2 or 3 people of the 12 that this was like their first time. So.
Yeah, I mean, I made it to the top 100 overall. I made a big push the last week. I may have made the top 10 of content creators at number 10. We don't know for sure because you have to judge it based on folks' usernames, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was somewhere there, anywhere between probably between 10 and 12 would be my guess. But yeah, quite the feat, and congratulations, Luke.
I appreciate it. So that was the fun side. You don't get to see that side of me very often. we're going to try to make we're coming into the off season. We got bowl season coming up. We're going to try some stuff to make some things more fun. If you want to comment, we want to interact more. We want to make this fun and enjoyable. Like, especially when we get to this point, like, you got to be a real sicko to be watching the G5 Hive when it's going to be like February and March. We'll have a couple things, but like, it takes a special type of individual, to be following, and we appreciate. But like, we want people to show up week in and week out for the entertainment piece too. Like, we want to provide some entertainment that, like, it doesn't really matter what we're covering. It's just fun to listen to Justice and I talk about ball.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of ball, you ready to get started for tonight with our players of the week?
Let's do it. So my offensive player of the week for week 14 is Liberty running back Evan Dickens. Evan rushed for 267 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, while adding 1 catch for another 16 yards in the air to lead the Flames offense in week 14. Congratulations, Evan.
My defensive player of the week for week 14 is none other than San Jose State linebacker Jordan Pollard. Jordan had 19 tackles, 12 solos, 1 tackle for loss, and a 58-yard pick 6 touchdown to lead the Spartans defense in week 14. Congratulations, Jordan. My offensive player of the week for week 14, Texas State quarterback Brad Jackson. Brad threw for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, while rushing for another 113 yards and a whopping 3 touchdowns on the ground to lead the Bobcats to victory and bowl eligibility in week 14. Congratulations, Brad.
My defensive player of the week for week 14, Appalachian State edge Kevin Abrams Verwain. Kevin had 10 tackles, 8 solo, 2.5 tackles for a loss, and 2.5 sacks to lead the Mountaineers defense. Congratulations, Kevin. And the G5 Hive freshman offensive player of the week for week 14. Was there any doubt? It's North Texas running back Caleb Hawkins. Caleb ran for 186 yards and 4 touchdowns while adding 2 catches for 28 yards to lead the Mean Green to victory and a berth in the American Conference Championship. Congratulations, Caleb.
Man, we could have given like last year is the Ahmad Hardy Award. Like this year it became the Caleb Hawkins Award. We could have given it to him almost every single week. Just a phenomenal true freshman season by Caleb Hawkins.
Absolutely.
All right, our freshman, the G5 Hive freshman defensive player of the week, Louisiana cornerback Brent Gordon Jr. I believe it's his second time as defensive freshman of the week. Brent had 5 tackles, 4 solos, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 pass defenses and an interception to lead the Raging Cajuns to victory and bowl eligibility in week 14. Congratulations, Brent.
All right. We talked about, in a spirit of kind of having a lighter show this week. I mean, there'll still be some stuff to talk about, but it shouldn't, be the marathon that it has been as of late. So let's jump into what the Swarm needs to know, our news and notes.
So most of this is going to be coaching news. That's kind of the flavor of the week, so to speak. It's that time of year. Like I said earlier, we're not really going to touch on portal news, not at this point. We will do. We usually do that in January and February. We have a couple of shows where we go conference by conference, talking about the portal additions, the portal departures, etc.
Justice, I do have a question.
Yes.
I know we are the G5 Hive, but should we also start our own SEC podcast? I mean, because that's what it's going to come down to here with these coaching hires. I mean, everyone's going from the American to the SEC. We might as well take over the SEC while we're at it.
Yeah, the American rated the SEC rated the American cupboard over the weekend, hiring three of their top 4 coaches, with the Big 12 getting the other coach. Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? That the Power 4 schools act like the G5 doesn't belong. Like they're doing them a favor, like letting them come along for the ride. But they have no problem stealing the coaches. They have no problem stealing the players. Like, I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just the irony of it. Like, it is it irritates me, I guess, is the best way to say it. But in today's media world, like, it's just, I don't know, it's just the way it is. And like, we'll get to the playoffs eventually. But man, like, what I talked about last week, it was going to happen. It happened, and we'll see what's going to happen this week in regards to Duke. But yeah, nonetheless,
I do want to mention another thing, but I've lost it. Get into it.
All right. Before we get into like the hiring, firing, etc., New Mexico has given head coach Jason Eck a new 5-year contract, raised his salary to $1.75 million. It's about a $500,000 a year raise. Well deserved. Jason Eck undoubtedly should be the Mountain West Coach of the Year. Phenomenal job he did at New Mexico this year, kind of building off the season they had a year ago and taking it to a whole nother level. They should have been in the Mountain West Championship. Like, we'll get into all that later, but man, like, I feel like they got ripped off big time in regards to not making the Mountain West Championship. All right, so before I get into the hirings and people leaving, etc., I want to throw out a couple of names that I feel like are in general guys that are going to be talked about in terms of either moving from one G5 to another, or guys that recently got fired at the P4 level that might get hired at the G5 level. These are guys, these are kind of like the hot names of the week, if you will. So first, we'll start with the guys that just got fired from the P4. Billy Napier, former Florida coach, Louisiana coach. People call him Sun Belt Billy. I mean, someone's going to hire this guy. Maybe it's going to be Coastal, right? Like, maybe he'll jump right back in the Sun Belt and go to Coastal. That would be my prediction. No inside knowledge or anything. It just seems like it'd be a great fit for Billy Napier. Jonathan Smith, former Michigan State and Oregon State head coach, is available. Expect his name to get thrown around. And then the next group there are guys that are at current G5 programs that maybe these American teams that just lost their head coaches might come calling. It's Charles Huff at Southern Miss, Ryan Beard at Missouri State, Jerry Mack at Kennesaw State, and Tyson Helton at Western Kentucky. Those seem to kind of be the popular group of names that, when you talk about any of the openings, especially at the G5 level, those are some guys that I think will get some serious consideration. All right, we talked about the American losing their top 4 head coaches, and the first domino was to fall was Oklahoma State hired North Texas head coach Eric Morris. I think it's a great hire for Oklahoma State. Feel bad for North Texas. They have the season, a dream season, if you will, and they're going to the American Championship. Got a great shot at making the college football playoffs, and their head coach is going somewhere else. But that's college football.
The funny thing, do you remember when we did our Worker Bee series? Like, that was one of our questions to Brett. Is Eric Morris on the hot seat? And it's like, yeah, he kind of is. And then like we just kind of, I don't want to say forget, but like the season was so good that's like he went from like 0 to hero and off to the SEC in a matter of games. It was amazing.
Big 12. He's off to the Big 12. But
sorry. Sorry.
But the big thing he did, and we talked about it all off season, was he hired a defensive coordinator that was actually good, and Skylar Cassidy, who came over from Sam Houston a year ago, did a phenomenal job at Sam Houston. He's done another phenomenal job there with that mean green defense, and that's been the difference, right? Like the issue with North Texas and Eric Morris in the past was never the offensive side of the ball; it was always the defensive side of the ball. And he hired Skylar Cassidy, and they got things. They got that defense humming for the mean green, and led to this dream season, if you will. The two names I've heard, I guess I'd say the front runners for that North Texas job are former West Virginia and Troy head coach Neil Brown and current Abilene Christian head coach Keith Patterson. Those two guys, I think, are considered the front runners for that job. And North Texas has said they expect to make an announcement like by the end of the week.
Friday.
So
yeah, I think it was Friday. Then the other name I heard that was interesting, just because it always seems to gather interest, was Incarnate Ward's coach. I don't think that's going to be the realistic. I think it's going to be Neil Brown. That would be who I'd put my money on. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. I think Friday.
Yeah, sometime this week. All right, moving over to some other hiring news. Colorado State has hired UConn head coach Jim Mora Jr. Another great hire. Supposedly, Jim Mora Jr. expressed interest in the job way back in 2019. He's done a phenomenal job at UConn. Hate to see UConn lose him, but their loss is Colorado State's gain. I think he's a winner, right? Like, I mean, if he can do what he did at UConn, there's absolutely no reason he can't do that at Colorado State. I just think he's going to turn that team around fast and have them competing for a conference championship in no time. All right, moving over to those SEC hires from the American. Auburn has hired South Florida head coach Alex Golish. Arkansas has hired Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfield, and Florida has hired Tulane head coach John Summerall. Tulane also, it was reported today that Tulane brought in LSU defensive coordinator Blake Baker for an interview for that Tulane vacancy. All three of those teams are, there's 3 or 4 of the top 5. I guess the only one that's you could argue is up there that coach didn't get stolen was Navy. And apparently Drew Cronick, the offensive coordinator at Navy, turned down a head coach offer to be the head coach at UAB to stay at Navy. But that's arguably 4 of the top 5 coaches of the American moving on, 3 to the SEC, 1 to the Big 12. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I know Arkansas is not happy about the Ryan Silverfield hire. I can get it to a certain extent, right? Like from a resource, personnel, talent perspective, you could make the case that he's underperformed, the last couple of years, right? Memphis has been one of the favorites in the conference every year. They have not won the American. Again, this year they were a favorite, and they found ways to lose games they probably shouldn't have.
I think honestly the reason their fans are not happy is honestly because they didn't get the guy that they thought they were going to get.
Well, they wanted Golish, right? Like that's who they wanted.
I believe, like deep down in my core, Alex Golish was going to Arkansas. And then when something got leaked that he was leaving, I think that rubbed him the wrong way. And he said, no, like granted, Arkansas's SEC, but it's a little bit different, than other schools. And I think it rubbed him the wrong way where he's like, you know what, I'm getting a new I'm getting a new stadium on campus. I'm just going to stay at South Florida. And then when Auburn came calling, it's like, all right. Like, I think he utilized that leaking information against Arkansas, and that's, I think, Arkansas fans believe they settled for Ryan.
Or it could have been a ploy to get more money out of Auburn too, right?
Yeah, I mean sure.
Auburn, I think Auburn's like the better job, but Auburn also has, I feel like, way higher expectations than Arkansas does, right? In terms of like, national championship expectations.
I know I'll be interested to see what Byron Brown does. He's had a great year. Does he just decide to declare? Does he go somewhere? Because having Deuce Knight there at Auburn, that will be a pretty dynamic offense with Golish there.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm excited. Hopefully, if assuming Deuce Knight stays at Auburn, I agree with you. I think it'll be really exciting to see Deuce Knight run Alex Golish offense, but we'll see. He might go on. Maybe Byram transfers. Who knows? I mean, all these teams, right? It'd be interesting to see what happens, like with Drew Mestamaker, Caleb Hawkins. I mean, there's so many talented guys on those rosters. Inevitably, some of them are going to follow the head coach. That always happens. But in the case of like a Drew Mestamaker or Caleb Hawkins, I feel like they're going to have so many suitors, have so much money thrown at them. It'd just be interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, from a G5 perspective, it sucks. I don't like it any more than anyone else does. But whether I like it or dislike it, it's going to happen regardless. So I just try to live with it, right? I mean, that's what we have to do. We have to live within the confines of the college football world today, because we can't change it, and we would be miserable, if we just always worried about the what if or next year or the year after. Like in the G5, you have to appreciate what you have while you have it, because inevitably, generally, it's just not going to last long, right? Whether it's a coach being successful and leaving, which is what you want, right? Like as a G5, that's what you want. You want your teams to be successful. Well, that means coaches are going to leave, players are going to leave, etc. And so that's just the game of college football in today's world. All right, some more coaching news. Oregon State has hired Jamarcus Shepard, Alabama co-offensive coordinator, as its next head coach. Coastal Carolina has fired head coach Tim Beck. That one came as a little bit of a surprise. Because he went 6-6, made a bowl game. I mean, essentially, so I thought Samari Collier had saved his job for this year, but then Samari got hurt. Then they lost the last 2, maybe 3 games after he got hurt, and but they did finish 6-6. Did make a bowl game. I mean, it's just a sign of like Coastal Carolina saying, "Hey, we're not accepting mediocrity," right? Like. They expected more, and if they end up getting Billy Napier, man, you talk about like a home run hire, in my opinion, for the Chanticleers. And this year they gave away all those free concessions, free hot dogs, free nachos, free drinks. They hire someone like Billy Napier. I don't know that they're going to have to give away all that free stuff to get butts in the stands. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Not head coaches, but some assistants. Georgia Southern has fired defensive coordinator Brandon Bailey and linebackers coach Alex Garwig. Secondary coach Darius Safford will call the defensive plays in the bowl game for the Eagles. No shock there. The Georgia Southern defense was one of the worst in all of FBS, definitely in the Sun Belt. So that shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. UCLA has been reported that UCLA has hired JMU head coach Bob Chesney. I like the hire from I think he's a good coach. It just seems like a weird fit from like a location standpoint, right? He's always kind of been in the Mid-Atlantic, East Coast, Pennsylvania, etc. He's going all the way over to the West Coast. So that seems kind of odd to me, right? I think he's a winner. I think he's a good head coach. But, to me, I think it'd make more sense like if he went to Penn State. just given his regional ties, etc. But nonetheless, looks like Bob Chesney is going to UCLA. Nevada has fired offensive coordinator David Gilbertson, wide receiver coach James Price, and senior offensive analyst Matt Wade. That's kind of like the Georgia Southern thing. No surprise. Nevada's defense played lights out for the most of the year. It was the offensive woes that kind of led to the poor season for Nevada. So no shock that the offensive coaching staff has been let go. San Jose State has fired offensive line coach John Estes and cornerbacks coach Greg Burns. And then this last piece of news came out maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, and is a little bit of a shocker. Ohio announced that head coach Brian Smith will be on leave for an undetermined amount of time, effective December 1st. And in his absence, defensive coordinator John Hauser has been named the interim head coach for the Ohio Bowl game. Don't know any more than what everyone else knows. I've seen no speculation of what's going on. It could be a medical issue, right? Maybe he's got some health issues and he needs to take some time away to deal with that. Don't know. Don't really want to speculate because I haven't seen any speculation as to why or what's going on. But just hope, whatever it is, that if it is health related, hope that wish the best for Coach Smith. I'm sure stuff will come out in the near future. But yeah, that's kind of it for coaching news.
When I'm looking at these coaches, Justice, when we were looking at 2026 and what's coming, who's on the hot seat, just based off of what you have here on the show sheet that I'm looking at, Nevada, Georgia Southern, you're on the hot seat.
They're definitely on the hot seat.
Once you
especially
fire
Georgia
offensive
Southern.
coordinator, yeah. Like I thought that there was a chance that he would be gone this year.
Yes,
Helton would be
yes.
gone this year. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
You buy your time when you fire a defensive or offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Like you're usually the next one to go if you don't turn things around.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's now San Jose State firing an offensive line coach, a cornerbacks coach. Okay, Ken, you've got a little bit more time.
Yeah. I mean, and the San Jose State woes, at least the offensive woes, were directly tied to the quarterback. Like Walker Eggett, as much as crap as I give him throughout the year with his inconsistent play, he was playing really well, from the mid, from maybe like after week 3 or 4 or so until he got hurt. He hurt his ankle, and then they clearly did not have a very competent quarterback. They had a bunch of freshmen, right? And so, no shock that they couldn't really operate the offense the way that they needed to for the Spartans. Be interested to see what San Jose State does at quarterback in the offseason. And if they can keep those receivers, right? Once again, they had the nation's leading receiver in terms of yardage and Danny Scudero, and essentially the last, 3 weeks, he didn't really do anything because of the quarterback play there for San Jose
2 weeks
State.
ago, he was all right.
He still led the nation in receiving yardage. So they have an amazing offensive system. They just need to find a quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Obviously, the freshmen can develop over the spring, et cetera, and maybe they'll be better next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if they bring someone in via the transfer portal at the very least to compete with those freshmen for the starting job next year. Walker Eggett, I'm pretty sure, is out of eligibility. Just a couple of quick injury news. These are guys that will be playing, or these are teams that will be playing in bowl games. So Toledo quarterback Tucker Gleason got injured in week 14. He left the game just before halftime. He did not return. Caleb Osborne took his place. So you want to monitor that before the bowl game. And then Washington State linebacker Parker McKenna went to the locker room in week 14 when an injury forced him out of the game. Also, we'll keep an eye on that for the bowl game.
Also, if you can do like player props when it comes to betting, whatever the player prop is for Caleb Osborne for rushing yards, probably bet the over.
Assuming he's a starter, right? I have to
Yeah.
pay attention to the Tucker Gleason news.
Yeah, but yeah, Caleb Osborne, he was pretty dynamic on the ground, and I feel like betting markets are definitely not going to be up to speed on who Caleb Osborne is, what he's good at. So bet the overs.
All right, let's get to the AP Top 25. We got four G5 schools in the AP Top 25 this week. JMU jumps up to number 19. North Texas moves up to 20, and Tulane comes in at number 21. And the Navy Midshipmen make their 2025 debut in the AP Top 25, coming in at number 23. In the others receiving votes category, we got UNLV at number 29 with 33 votes, New Mexico at number 30 with 20 votes, South Florida number 31, 11 votes, Connecticut number 34 with 3 votes, and San Diego State comes in at number 39 with 1 vote. All right, as promised, let's talk about the college football playoffs and what it means for the G5. So last week, we talked about the possibility of what can happen in the ACC, and could that mean the G5 get 2 teams in the college football playoffs? And I think last week I talked about I was interested to see what the committee on Tuesday did with SMU and Pitt, because last week it looked like it was probably going to be between Virginia, SMU, and Pitt were the most likely candidates for the ACC championship. And at that point, SMU and Pitt weren't ranked. They weren't on the list. Well, lo and behold, as I expected, they were on the list last week, right? Because you can't have 2 G5s in the college football playoffs. So, in my opinion, and this is what I said last week, the committee was setting it up so that people trying to get ahead of it in case it was SMU or Pitt, so people wouldn't be like, oh, they came out of left field and stole a bid. No, they were ranked 2 weeks ago. Their plans got foiled because the ACC championship is exactly what needed to happen to almost, in my opinion, assure 2 G5 teams in the college football playoffs, and that was Duke making it to the ACC championship. So you got Duke versus Virginia. Duke is a 7-5 team. They lost to Connecticut. They lost to Tulane. I think they only won 1 out of conference game. And so if you're a fan of any G5 school, we are all Duke Blue Devil fans in the ACC championship game this weekend. We want Duke to win the ACC championship because I'm not going to say they're not going to do it. Be interesting to see if Duke shows up in their rankings this week, because they're just, in my opinion, there's no way they can put, assuming JMU wins the Sun Belt, obviously either North Texas or Tulane, one of them's going to win the American.
Mm-hmm.
If JMU wins, then them and the American champion should be in the college football playoffs. Now, the other point we talked about last week that a lot of folks completely misunderstand, you'll even see national media, ESPN, guys that get paid to do this are wrong, because they will sit there and tell you that
the G5 gets a representative.
They'll tell you, oh, the P4 has automatic. It's 4 automatic bids for the P4s and one bid for the G5. That is not true. That is not what it says at all. It says the top 5 ranked conference winners get an auto bid. So in theory, just like I said last week, that could be 5 G5s. All 5 G5s, in theory, can make the college football playoffs under the way the rules are currently written. There's no automatic bid for the ACC, SEC, whatever. That's just not how it works. In practicality, you would say, generally speaking, yes, that's how it works out. But if Duke wins the ACC, man, I think it would just be absolute insanity if they put Duke in and left out JMU, for instance, or the American winner. that would just be absolutely insane, in my opinion. I just don't see. I don't ever want to say never, because like the bias is so strong, and the media bias towards the is so strong. I don't ever want to say never, man. But like it just like there's just no way they could do that.
Duke's gonna show up in the rankings. They are.
Oh, I know they are. I just but it sickens me, like the fact that like they're just setting it up so that there can't be two G5s, because I'll be honest with you, I think Duke's gonna win the game. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think Virginia's a very good team. I think all three teams that are on our screen right now, JMU, North Texas, and Tulane, they all beat Virginia. We already saw Tulane beat Duke. And so, yeah, I mean,
you know what this reminds me of, Justice? I'm going to keep the theme of the WWE wrestling going. This time I'm going to go into TNA world. You got 3 teams here. It reminds me of Scott Steiner, who, Steiner there at Jacksonville State. It reminds me of Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle in a 3-way match. Do you know what I'm talking about here? We got the Steiner math here. So we've got Tulane versus North Texas. One of them's going to win. You would assume you put that 47 plus the 32%, that goes to one team, and then you've got 79% chance. But essentially there's 3 teams here. You got your 33 and 1/3 chance of winning minus, we think it's going to be North Texas. So you minus their 25% chance, and then you've got an 8 1/3 chance winning at pay-per-view sacrifice, or in this one, our bowl game. And then you take North Texas's 75% chance of winning and go one-on-one, and you add up the 66 and 2/3%. And North Texas, when you do the math and it's all said and done, they've got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, that's Steiner math right there. That's my Steiner math.
It's Oliver. Like we said, Duke lost. I mean, UConn is a G5 for all intents and purposes, right? Just like Notre Dame is a Power 4. And Duke lost to Tulane, UConn. I agree with you that there is no justification for putting Duke in, but I've seen it so many times, and not even just like in rankings and teams. You look at like these player awards, right? They are so slanted, heavily slanted towards the P4. Like, last year, Nick Nash, wide receiver of San Jose State, won the Triple Crown of wide receivers, right? Well, there's only ever been 2 Triple Crown wide receiver winners that did not win the Blitnikoff Award for the best wide receiver in college football. Oh, and guess what? Both times those receivers played for G5s. So it's, I mean, you look at the Butkus Award for the top linebacker in the nation. Sean Dolak, arguably the best college football linebacker in all of college football last year, wasn't even one of the 6 finalists. They had 6 finalists, and Sean Dolak was not one of them. The guy that won the award was not even the best linebacker. Like he shouldn't even have been as finalist. He might be the best NFL player, but the awards are college football, and like it's just the media bias is so strong. Whether it's voting for a team, voting for individual players, that I don't put anything past this committee or anyone have anything to do with getting Duke into the college football playoff. I 100% agree that like it would be absolute insanity, but at the end of the day, like maybe I'm just a beaten dog, and I kind of expect it to happen at this point. It would be a travesty. It would be ridiculous, but man, like it wouldn't shock me if it does. It'll be interesting to see what the committee does tomorrow in terms of prepping for that scenario, where they have Duke ranked. Where does JMU show up? Where does North Texas show up? Like to date, really the only G5 that's being ranked is Tulane. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that all plays out, tomorrow night. So stay tuned. Last week, I told you, be prepared for Pitt and SMU to suddenly be ranked, and they were on Tuesday. I think they're going to position themselves or try to give themselves a way out of having to put 2 G5s in the event that Duke wins. But yeah, man, JMU.
Justice, if you want tomorrow's news today, listen to the G5 Hive.
All right, man. Enough about the college football playoffs. Let's get over to our G5 top 25. End of the regular season. These are our votes as submitted to the Hero Sports G5 top 25. For those listening, I'll run it down real quick. What we have on the screen here, we got James Madison number 1, North Texas 2, Tulane 3, Navy 4, South Florida 5, East Carolina 6, Old Dominion 7, New Mexico 8, UNLV 9, San Diego State 10, Connecticut 11, Kennesaw State 12, Memphis 13, Hawaii 14, Western Michigan 15, Boise State 16, Jacksonville State 17, the Troy Trojans at 18, Toledo at 19, Western Kentucky at 20, Fresno State at 21, Ohio at 22, Florida International makes their debut in our votes at number 23, Miami comes in at 24, and Central Michigan rounds out our top 25, coming in at 25. Again, these are our votes as submitted to the Hero Sports G5 top 25 consensus media poll, which we retweeted that earlier today. Run down the biggest differences between our votes, our poll, and the consensus poll. We have 24 of the same 25 teams. The one team in the consensus poll, not in our rankings, is Army. They're number 24 in the consensus poll. Obviously, they have a team ranked that we don't. The reverse is going to be true. Central Michigan is the team that we have ranked that is not in the top 25 consensus poll. Central Michigan came in at number 25 for us. Some of the biggest differences, teams we are lower on. Toledo, we have a 4-spot difference. We have them at 19. The consensus poll has them at 15. Ohio, we have them at 22. They are 19 in the consensus poll for a 3-spot difference. And then UNLV, we also have a 3-spot difference. We have UNLV 9. The consensus has them at 16. Teams that we are higher on than the consensus, number 1 team is Kennesaw State. We have them at 12. The consensus has them at 18. So a 6-spot difference there. East Carolina, we have them at 6. Consensus has them at 10. 4-spot difference. And then also a 4-spot difference for the Troy Trojans. We have them at 18. The consensus has them at 22. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, 1 through 5, there's 100% agreement on. 6, I feel like 6 through 11, you could probably shake that order up any way you want, and be okay with it. And then maybe 12 through 15. Maybe 17, maybe, I don't know. Boise State's the weird one for me because they found ways to win the last couple of weeks, but I just don't think with no Max Madsen, they're not what they could be. And then
I say it's 1 through 5, 6 through 11, 12 through 15, and then 16 through 25, with FIU being the team that's pretty hot in Troy right now.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, I mean, can't argue with that. Western Kentucky took a loss this week. They had been playing pretty well, and then
it was a good game too.
They played tough at LSU, but then kind of I guess a little bit of a surprising loss for them. But yeah, that's our top 25 poll, and that might be it for the year. I don't think I'm waiting to hear back from Colton at Hero Sports to see if they're going to do something again. I think last year we might have done one again.
I think one more
at the end of the season. I think we do one more. So yeah, no more. We will do one more at the end of the season, regardless if they're going to do it or not. After the dust is settled, after the bowl games, all that. Although for me, like bowl games nowadays, given the climate, don't mean a whole lot. if anything, the best part of a bowl game, it gives you a glimpse into the future, right? Because the teams that don't make the college football playoffs, I don't care if it's P4 or G5, they're going to have players sit out because they're going in the transfer portal. That just happens every single year, and this year will be absolutely no different. It sucks. I hate it. But until college football does something with their schedule to kind of align these things better, it's not going to change, right? I mean, the transfer portal doesn't, quote, officially open until January. But guys, school's ending, they're not just sticking around, for the heck of it. They're getting their names out there right away. We saw it last year with Marshall, right? Marshall couldn't even field a team for a bowl game after losing their coach and then losing all the players in the transfer portal. And it sucks. But until college football comes up with a better schedule to kind of help with that issue, that's the way it's just going to be, and it's something we'll have to deal with. But it does give us a glimpse into the future, right? We get to see, the next man up at quarterback, or the next man up at receiver, the next linebacker,
the next Drew Mestamaker.
That's right. We get to see the next guys up, the future stars of the G5. We get a preview of that in the bowl game. So, not all is lost. And they're fun, right? It's fun for the teams, fun for the fans, etc.
All right. Well, let's move on over to our Week 14 in review and look forward to these conference championship games. We're going to start with the Pac-12 UConn teams here. Week 14 in review. Our Saturday game, the de facto Pac-12 championship, part dos, because the first one actually didn't count as a Pac-12 game. So this is the one game for all the marbles. It was Oregon State versus Washington State. Oregon State won that first matchup 10-7. Washington State needed to win this game to get to bowl eligibility, and they were up 25-0 after 3 quarters of play. Oregon State struggled all night as they didn't even get into the Washington State 20-yard line until there was 5:55 left in the game. Washington State's defense would force 3 turnovers and held the Beavers to 280 total yards and sacked true freshman Tristan Tia 6 times, as Washington State goes on to win this one 32-8 and becomes bowl eligible and your de facto conference champion for the Pac-12. UConn did not play in Week 14. They finished 9-3. So now you have 2 teams. You've got UConn as a FBF independent, and you've got Washington State as a Pac-12 team that are now bowl eligible.
I'm still disappointed that Dos Equis did not sponsor the Pac-12 Part 2. Right? Go for Dos. Like that was just such a perfect opportunity for I gotta assume it was like it would have been minimal, like from a financial impact in terms of like what they'd have to give up to be able to do that. But man, like I feel like whoever's doing the marketing for Dos Equis missed a humongous opportunity. But yeah,
absolutely.
So it goes.
All right. Conference USA Week 14 in review. Our Saturday games. We have UTEP at Delaware. Delaware seemed to have the momentum after a fumble recovery for a touchdown about midway through the second. As the Fighting Blue Hens were up 24-7, UTEP would score 2 touchdowns to cut the lead to 11, heading into the locker room after an evenly fought third quarter. It was 41-31, and in the fourth, Delaware would force 2 interceptions and score 20 unanswered to win this one at home, 61-31, to end their first season in the FBS with 6 wins, making them bowl eligible. Florida International, Sam Houston. We would see the return of Keon Jenkins in this one, and he would throw for 3 touchdowns and run another one in as the Panthers dismantled the Bearcats 56-16. Jenkins, favorite target of the day, Alex Perry. He was 7 receptions on 7 targets for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Congratulations to FIU on their season, and let's hope better things are ahead for Sam Houston. Western Kentucky at Jacksonville State. The winner is heading to the CUSA championship game. This one was a fun one as we saw Western Kentucky jump out to a 21-7 lead early. But in the second, Jacksonville State would claw its way back to score a touchdown before the half and cut the lead to 4. And it was 28-24 Western Kentucky at the half. After Western Kentucky punted to open the second half, Jacksonville State would score a touchdown to take their first lead since the opening drive of the game. Then both teams leaned on their kickers as Western Kentucky added 2 field goals and Jacksonville State added 1. It was 34-34 with 4:18 left. Jacksonville State had the ball. The play of the drive was on a 3rd and 15 at midfield following a false start. Caden Creel found Michael Petway for 18 yards to get a huge first down. And after the 2-minute timeout, and Western Kentucky would call a timeout, Jacksonville State was facing 3rd and 7 from the Western Kentucky 29, well within field goal range from Garrison Ripa. But Creel finds Pearson Baldwin for 16 yards. Jacksonville State runs the clock. They call a timeout with 1 second left. Made me nervous because usually they call a timeout with like 4 or 3 seconds left. Ripa comes out for a 28-yard field goal to send the Gamecocks to the CUSA championship game, and he nails it. Jacksonville State wins 37-34. The win also meant that regardless of the outcome of a game that we'll get to in a couple, the Kennesaw State Liberty game, Jacksonville State would host Kennesaw State in the CUSA championship game.
Kind of a role reversal from a year ago, right?
Yes,
Remember,
yeah.
These two teams played on week 14 a year ago, and Western Kentucky kicked the game winner 51-yarder, I think, in week 14, and then the two teams had a rematch in the conference championship game. A little bit of a role reversal there for Jacksonville State this year.
Louisiana Tech at Missouri State. Let's just hop right to the fourth where we saw 34 combined points scored. I'm going to set the stage. It's 21-17. Louisiana Tech with the ball and driving in the fourth. Louisiana Tech would score a touchdown to go up 11. But about 3 minutes later, Missouri State would score on a long Jacob Clark touchdown pass to make it 28-23 Louisiana Tech. On the ensuing kickoff, Devin Gandy would return it 93 yards to the house to put the Bulldogs back up 12 with 9:15 left. The teams would trade touchdowns, and then Jakari Foster would do what he does best, and that is take the game into his own hands by intercepting a ball. He intercepts Jacob Clark, and the Bulldogs win on the road 42-30. Middle Tennessee at New Mexico State. We're going to have extra football in this one. And in an uneventful first half, we saw 8 punts, a fumble by each team, but Middle Tennessee was up 14-7 at the half. And after Middle Tennessee 3-and-out to start the fourth, New Mexico State would score on an Adam DeMonte 1-yard touchdown rush to give the Aggies their first lead since late in the first quarter. Following the Middle Tennessee touchdown, New Mexico State would hit a 35-yard field goal with 1 minute left. And like I said, we're going to extra football. In overtime, Middle Tennessee would get the ball first, and Robin Gagliano would find A.J. Jones for an 11-yard touchdown pass, and the PAT would put the Blue Raiders up 31-24. 2 false starts for the Aggie and 3 incompletions did them no favors as the Blue Raiders ended the season on a high note with a 31-24 overtime win. Kennesaw State, Liberty, this is the game I was talking about earlier. This game was a blast too. CUSA was just like overtime galore. We had 2 overtimes in this one. I was honestly surprised the Owls didn't take anybody out after half because despite the 14-14 tie at halftime, that Jacksonville State, Western Kentucky game had just gone final. And at that point, we know Kennesaw State, they're going to be in the conference championship game, win or lose. So I kind of thought they would pull people, keep people healthy, not put them out there. But this Kennesaw State team, they didn't care. They're out there, the hoot and shoot is out there trying to find prey. And they thought
the veer and hoot.
The veer and hoot. So this game ended with a combined 955 total yards. Evan Dickens, my player of the week, 43 rush attempts for 267 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 catch, 16 yards in the receiving game. I think that might be back-to-back game for Evan Dickens with definitely over 200 yards, but I think he had like 240 something last week. Just unbelievable. Once again, Amari Odom was the dude, as he was 14 of 23 for 240, 4 touchdowns, ran for 72 yards, and another score on the ground to lift the Owls to their 9th win in their last 10 games and an appearance in the CUSA championship game. Bowl eligibility, I mentioned it earlier.
I was just gonna say that I got home. I think there was 2 minutes left in the game. I saw Liberty. I think Liberty attempted the field goal there and missed it at the end. The game goes to overtime, and then it was just like body blow after body blow, man. It was
one play.
It was a crazy ending, exciting but crazy. It was a fun game. At least what I got to see was a fun game.
All right, bowl eligibility, CUSA, Delaware. Like I said, they are now bowl eligible. Got the little asterisk there. Them in Missouri State, new to FBS. So depending on how many bowl eligible teams
they're in.
There
weren't enough eligible teams, so they're in.
So that gives CUSA 7 teams that are bowl eligible this year. Let's move right into our conference championship preview. We've got a Friday game. We've got Kennesaw State at Jacksonville State. This one, I saw lines.
Kennesaw's favored by 2.5 with an over-under 59.5. Weather looks like 47 degrees, so doesn't look like weather should be an issue for the game. The funny thing is I think the line has moved from Jacksonville State to Kennesaw State. I think when it opened up, it was Jacksonville State, and then it moved to Kennesaw State. We'll look at these teams. So before we get into the in-depth preview of the championship, we're gonna treat the championships and the bowl games. We're gonna do a little extra stuff that we don't normally do in the regular season, just because if we did this during the regular season for every game, we'd be here. We'd be here for 5 hours every night, every Monday night. And so we just can't spend that amount of time, or the amount of time we're going to spend on these conference championships as well as the bowl games in the regular season. It would be great to be able to do that, but unfortunately, we normally record at 10:30 Eastern. We don't want to be going till 2:30 in the morning for me anyway. And then by the time I get done doing the editing, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. But nonetheless, for the conference championships and the bowl games, we'll have a more in-depth preview than what we normally do in the regular season. So I guess let's start. We got the PFF matchups here on the screen. It's got Jacksonville State on offense, Kennesaw State on defense. Looking at the rankings, Jacksonville State on offense, they like to run the ball, man. They are the 3rd ranked rushing offense in all of college football, averaging 262 yards per game. On the flip side of that, they're 118th passing offense, averaging 129.1 yards per game. So it's pretty clear what Jacksonville State wants to do. Look at that Kennesaw State defense. Rushing, they're 98th, allowing 172.6 yards per game. 101st pass defense, 238.8 yards per game. Looking at offense, it's the Caden Creel and Cam Cook show, right? I mean, on the ground, those are the guys to kind of keep an eye on for Jacksonville State when they have the ball. Hobson is Hobson, and the linebacker for Kennesaw State's a guy to watch on that defense. Washington, their cornerback's also a really good young corner. But it's going to be, can the Kennesaw State defense limit that rushing attack at Jacksonville State that no one has really seemed to be able to limit it to, so far this season. Again, third ranked rushing offense in all of college football.
Well, like what I envision this game to be, given Amari Odom, what he can do on offense, what we'll talk about here shortly, he can hit you deep. Like he reminds me a lot of Byron Brown. And this Jacksonville State offense reminds me a lot of the movie Forrest Gump. They're just going to run until they get tired.
Yeah, I
mean, I'm tired. I'm
Jacksonville State's 57.4% run plays, only 42.6% pass. That's what Jacksonville State wants to do, is run the ball. This Kennesaw State defense isn't necessarily adept at stopping the run. So that's personally, I think this game is going to be a shootout is what's going to happen. Very similar to what we just saw in the Liberty game with Kennesaw State. Now, when Kennesaw State has the ball, they're much more 50-50. 49.1% run, 50.9% passing. And while we're talking about that Kennesaw State offense, let's just get right on over to it. And to your point, Luke, it's led by Amari Odom. He's a dynamic dual threat. He is a weapon. They got, you got running backs. You got Coleman Bennett. You got Gabe Benyard there at receiver, their leading receiver. Christian Moss, another weapon. There's certainly no shortage of weapons for Kennesaw State on offense. Amari Odom is just electric. He's such a dynamic playmaker. I look for it to be another shootout. I would take the over of 59.5. I think this game's gonna be in the total is gonna be in the 60s with these two teams. I don't know
I think the key in this one is going to be there, as you can highlight there on the left side of that offensive line. It'll be Odom's blind side, and there is definitely an opportunity for Lee to get worked there at left tackle.
Yeah.
I think that is the matchup to watch. Right side of the defense, left side of the offense, and see what that forces Odom to do. Luckily, Kennesaw State has a mobile quarterback. This could be a huge Odom running game. It's going to be who can stop the run. If you can get like back-to-back stops, I assume the first quarter, I assume whoever scores first in that opening drive where you have those scripted is going to be at a huge advantage, because then there's going to be a feeling out process, I think, for like the rest of the first quarter, and then it's anyways game after that.
We talked about the playmakers on that Kennesaw State offense. You look at the Jacksonville State defense. The players to keep an eye on are the two linebackers, Osteen and Sanders. Sanders, a freshman, and then Caleb Nix there at safety, one of the top safeties in all of G5. Those are kind of the three playmakers, if you will, on that Jacksonville State offense. This game, you said it's about so many games, but like I really think this game's gonna come down to turnovers. Like, whoever wins the turn, I don't think either punter is gonna get a lot of work in this game. It's gonna be a lot of scoring, a lot of offense, and then can a team create a couple turnovers to kind of get that advantage and get up in the touchdown column on the scoreboard and take get a little bit of a lead. But this should be one of the better, if not, you can make a case, it could be the best conference championship game we'll have for the G5 anyway. But should be a fun, exciting game. One I'm definitely looking forward to.
All right, let's make our way over to the American Conference. We are going to talk about our Thursday game where we had Navy, Memphis. Memphis had momentum after a touchdown put them up 17-14 with under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Then the Tigers forced a 3-and-out, and Memphis marched the ball down to the Navy 12. However, the Tigers were unable to get any points as they missed the field goal. It was a 31-yarder just before the half. And then it was the tale of two halves for Navy. Navy controlled the first drive of the second half, 18 plays, 17 runs, 10 minutes and 3 seconds off the clock. However, Horvath would fumble at the Memphis 1-yard line. Navy had all the control, but would they lose it? Memphis would be forced to punt after a 3-and-out, and Navy wouldn't look back. Navy wins this one 28-17 with about 6 minutes to go in the second half. The midshipmen had outgained Memphis 197-31. Navy finishes the season with Army on deck at 9-2. They're looking to get 10 wins in back-to-back seasons for the first time ever. Memphis finishes the season at a disappointing 8-4 season for their standards. I didn't think they were as great. I thought they actually outperformed what they would do, in my personal opinion, or about on par. But I think Memphis fans were very disappointed in an 8-4 season. Our Friday game, bellies are full. You'd had your Thanksgiving. Maybe you're going to your fifth Thanksgiving at this point. Not sure. But we had Temple, North Texas. This game was close after one quarter of play as it was 14-7 North Texas. The second quarter was all North Texas as they started to pull away 4 possessions for Temple that ended with 3 punts and 1 interception for a total of 52 yards, while North Texas would score 3 touchdowns on 4 possessions and have 243 total yards. North Texas cruises in this one, 52-25. Let the WWE continue as Stone Cold Steve Austin played football for North Texas. When they get turnovers, they bang those water bottles. They're pouring it all over. I'm excited. Hopefully we see some of that here in the conference championship game. But UNT punches their ticket to that AAC championship game. And now the program has a record 11 wins. Saturday games, we got East Carolina at Florida Atlantic. ECU put up 42 first half points on this one as Caden Hauser had 2 passing and 2 rushing touchdowns in the first half. And ECU's great defense recorded 4 sacks and had 3 picks, recovered 2 fumbles in this one. And ECU loots the Owls 42-3. UAB Tulsa. UAB was an 8.5-point underdogs in this one, which is saying something because they had 39 players opt out after that incident that we talked about last week. And through 3 quarters of play, things were all tied up at 17. Tulsa and UAB would trade touchdowns in the 4th, and Javon Jackson's second touchdown of the game on the ground with 3:40 left would prove to be the game winner as the Blazers win this one 31-24. Army, UTSA. Quick side note, if you haven't seen the post-game exchange between the coaches, go see it on Twitter. There will be no Christmas. I think the Black Knight podcast, who we talked to in the Worker Bee series, they said no Christmas cards will be probably exchanged between these coaches. Kind of an interesting exchange there. But UTSA would jump out to an early 10-0 lead. But Army's offense would put up 10 unanswered with less than 50 seconds to go in the first half. Owen McCollum would be intercepted by Jaden Mays, who would house it 73 yards to give the Black Knights a 17-10 lead at the half. And Army would be up 20-10 after 3 quarters, but UTA would strike with 5 seconds to go in the 4th, and Army would get 1 first down before punting it back to the Roadrunners, and UTSA would get another touchdown to go up 24-20, 9-10 left in the game. But then Army does what it does best. It uses 10 runs to eat up 6 minutes and 21 seconds, but they score on a 4-yard touchdown pass to regain the lead 27-24, and they win by that final to become bowl eligible in the process. Something I saw that I did not realize. I did not fact check this because I don't want to. I want it to be right in so many ways. Was something of this was the first pass to a tight end that was a touchdown since 2008 or something just super ridiculous like that. I don't have to look it up because that adds up, but I also don't want to look it up because I want that to be right. So I don't know. I don't know if it's
Army has a secret game plan, I guess, for UTSA at home. We talked about it last week. how UTSA is a different team at home, but that didn't really seem to matter. Army comes in and stops that undefeated home season for the Roadrunners.
All right, Rice, South Florida. Byron Brown had a huge night in this one as he was 16-24 for 275 yards and 4 touchdowns while adding 15 rushes for 104 on the ground and 1 touchdown. Rice did not sniff the red zone until the 8:49 mark in the third quarter when Drew Delivier hooked up with Aaron Turner on a 55-yard pass that took Rice from their own 25 to the South Florida 20, and they would not return to the red zone in the game. The Bulls roll in this one, 52-3. Charlotte versus number 22 Tulane. Tulane engulfs Charlotte in this one, 27-0. The only time Charlotte was in the red zone was thanks to a Jamari McClure fumble at the Tulane 44, in which Ty Baldwin would return it 33 yards to the Tulane 12. They would get to the 7-yard line and miss a field goal. The only Charlotte missed a field goal from 25 yards out. Other than the 4 plays on that drive, Charlotte would have 7 plays in Tulane territory. 7! So that's 11 of their 50 plays were on Tulane's side of the field. The season could not get done soon enough for Charlotte.
I did see where where Tim Albin's, saying, hey, like, we need your support, we need money. I think they're trying to raise $5 million in funds to help them, for lack of a better word, pay their football team. So if you're a 49er fan,
they should go mining for it, like all 49ers do. They should go mining for it.
Yes,
eligibility.
They need some help.
Army is the only team that got added this week, but that now puts the bowl eligibility for the American up to 8 teams. We've got North Texas, UTSA, Memphis, Tulane, now Army, ECU, South Florida, and Navy. Let's take a look at our conference championship game, in which we've got number 20 North Texas travels to number 21 Tulane in a Scott Steiner versus Kurt Angle one-on-one matchup, in which Kurt Angle does not have any chance to beat Scott Steiner, so give his 33% chance of that JMU playoff number. If you missed it earlier, we did Steiner math. I did Steiner math in this one. We think North Texas wins this one, but Justice, let's break it down by the numbers.
The odds makers agree. North Texas is favored by 2.5. Over under of 66.5. Let's take a look when Tulane has the ball on offense. They are ranked 60. They are the 61st ranked passing offense, 167.8 yards per game. They're the 48th ranked rushing offense. I'm sorry, I had that reversed. 61st ranked rushing offense, 167.8 yards per game. 48th ranked passing offense, 248 yards per game. You look at this North Texas defense, and they're pretty stout against the pass. They are the 10th ranked passing defense in all of college football, only allowing 164.7 yards per game. However, not so great on the rushing part. They're ranked 129th, giving up 207.9 yards per game. So fully expect Tulane. That's how they're going to attack North Texas, right? Number one, keeps the high-powered North Texas offense off the field, and that's based on season to date, that's the weakest part of that mean green defense is stopping the run. You look at like sacks. North Texas has got Tulane has one of the better offensive lines in terms of sacks per game. They're ranked 7th, only giving up 0.83 sacks per game. Tulane has the ball on offense. It's Jake Retzlaff. It had been Jamari McClure, but I'm assuming when he fumbled the ball, then they brought in Javin Gordon and gave him a shot. But they got a plethora of running backs. You got Gordon. You got Jamari McClure. You got Jake Retzlaff, dual threat. He is by far the leader of the offense. They go as he goes. You got Shaz Preston as their top receiver, former Alabama guy. And this offensive line is led by left guard Shadre Hurst, one of the top guards in all of college football. Definitely the number one guard in the G5, but he is one of the best in all of college football. When we look at the North Texas defense, their two corners, Fisher and Armstead, are really good. Fields, a great linebacker. I believe all three of those guys followed Skylar Cassidy over from Sam Houston. And then you got Wazlowski, and then the two safeties, Patrick Smith-Young and Will Jones II. Will Jones II and Patrick Smith-Young transferred over from Old Dominion this past offseason. But, yeah, I mean, Tulane's going to want to run the ball some more. They're going to go – Tulane goes as Jake Retzlaff goes. I mean, he's been a little bit of a roller coaster this year.
He's been turnover prone, and I think this North Texas defense, led by that defensive coordinator and Skylar Cassidy, I think they have something in store for this offense. I think they make enough turnovers, and this one is North Texas.
Well, let's look at when North Texas has the ball and that high-powered offense. They are the number one ranked scoring offense, averaging 46.8 points per game. They're the second ranked passing offense, 325.7 yards per game, and the 38th ranked rushing offense, 186.1 yards per game. You look at that Tulane defense, and they are bad against the pass, 119th, giving up 251.9 yards per game, going against the second ranked passing offense. Look for Drew Mestemaker, Wyatt Young, Landon Sides, Miles Coleman, Cam Dorner. I mean, they have an embarrassment of riches at receiver for the Mean Green. And then you got Drew Mestemaker, the leader of that offense. He's a dual threat too. He can get done with his legs. Man, like the thing that impresses me the most about Mestemaker is like he makes his reads very quick, makes the decisions very quick. He's not he has a quick release. I've told Luke, I've told others, I fully expect to see Drew Mestemaker playing in the NFL on Sundays. And then we talked about the passing offense, and they got Caleb Hawkins. Man, Caleb Hawkins has been a beast the last half of the season for them on the ground, so that they can beat you in a multitude of ways. Like I said, the Tulane defense not good against the pass, ranked 119th. They do a little bit better against the run. They're ranked 32nd and on the run. Looking at this Tulane defense, they give the names to know for there. Let me change this real quick. You got Jack Chenchu. You got Santana Hopper is probably the guy to know along that defensive line. He's a transfer from App State. He's a really good defensive lineman. You got Sam Howard at linebacker, and then there are two safeties, Bailey Despaney and Jack Chenchu. Those are kind of the highlight players there for that Mean Green. I'm sorry, for the Green Wave. We got the Mean Green versus the Green Wave here in the American Championship. But at the end of the day, I just don't see this Green Wave defense slowing down this North Texas offense.
What I envision, I think North Texas is going to struggle running the ball they've had success all year. I think this is going to come down to Mestemaker making plays, and what I envision this team doing is trying to run the ball early with Hawkins, and that the intention would be to start probably mixing in a lot of play action to get those that secondary moving up and then to hit him over the top. So I'm expecting kind of a low scoring, maybe first quarter, where it's really setting
They're kind
up.
of feeling each other out.
Yeah, they're really hammer. Like if Hawkins can run, Hawkins will run. But I think they're going to try to figure that out relatively quick. Maybe some screens, some quick slants to, hey, if I can get a 4-yard slant here, 4-yard slant here, run for 4, I think that's what North Texas is going to do. But this is going to come down to Drew Messmaker and what he can do with his arm, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you're looking for the big play over the top, that's gonna be Cam Dorner. I mean, he's the guy that's gonna go 3 for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's the big play guy up top, burning the defense. Whereas Wyatt Young and Miles Coleman, they're the slot guys. They're kind of doing the dirty work over the middle. Those are the high volume guys. Cam Dorner's the speed guy, the burner on the outside, the big play man. So yeah, I look for a big game for Drew Messmaker, and for folks that don't watch the G5, this could be somewhat of a coming out party, if you will. Obviously, folks that watch a lot of college football, they know who Drew Messmaker is, but your casual SEC fan probably has no idea who Drew Messmaker is. They catch this American Championship, they're going to be like, "Oh, who is this guy?" Like I said, I fully expect Drew to be playing college on the NFL on Sundays. I think he's got that kind of talent.
All right, let's head to the Sun Belt Conference and our Week 14 games in review Saturday. We have Georgia Southern at Marshall. Both teams looking to become bowl eligible in this one. Georgia Southern had the momentum after a first half of play. They kept it rolling as they scored a touchdown out of the locker room and forced Marshall 3 and out. Note, Carlos Del Rio Wilson could not finish this one out. Zion Turner would take over in the second half. Then they proceeded to have a 10-play, 82-yard drive that ended in 3 points. The Eagles would be up 24-6 with about 4 minutes to go in the third. Marshall would score relatively quick to cut the lead to 12. Then Georgia Southern would eat up about 7 minutes, but J.C. French would fumble. Marshall would take over at their own 14. They would move the ball pretty well. However, they would be stopped on a 4th and 10 at the Georgia Southern 22. Marshall would score they would score late to make it 24-19. They would try an onside kick, but they were unsuccessful. Georgia Southern wins this one 24-19, and they become bowl eligible. Georgia State at Old Dominion. Take it away, Justice.
Last home game for Old Dominion. Old Dominion trying to remain undefeated at home. This was an ugly first half. Between the two teams, there were 10 punts. It was just a very, very ugly first half. Old Dominion, I think it was 10-10 at halftime. The Old Dominion defense was playing stellar as usual. The Old Dominion offense was not. They just looked like very sluggish, like they're just going through the motions, man. They finally got some juice when Seth Nowsloa got intercepted Christian Veillere and helped get the offense some good position. But from a score standpoint, like Old Dominion beat them pretty good, but it should have been much worse than it was. Old Dominion struggled, with the goal. The first and goal, second and goal situations. When they got near the goal line, I don't know if it was just poor execution. I don't know if it was bad play calling. But they struggled in those situations. They get the win. Colton Joseph is a 1,000-yard quarterback, first time ever. 1,000-yard rushing quarterback, first time ever in school history. They had 340 some rushing yards again. One of the top rushing offenses in college football the last few weeks, and the defense played phenomenal once again, particularly the run defense. They go undefeated at home, 9-win season, best season since 2016, and they got a chance to win 10. Christian Veillere got a start for Georgia State, and I think when we talked about this game last week, we said there's no Cam Brown. Christian Vieira is going to be in trouble, and he was. Ted Hurst did play in the game, made a couple catches. Jordan Simmons had a couple of good runs, but that Old Dominion defense was just too much for the Panthers, and they were able to hold them off until the Old Dominion offense was able to get some things going in the second half and pull away. Just phenomenal home season, undefeated for the Monarchs, and hoping they can get their 10th win at the bowl game. I'm excited to see where that's going to be. That's pretty
Any
much.
chance you're on to that?
Yes.
If it's there.
It really depends on where it is. I can guarantee you I'm going if it's at Myrtle Beach. If they're playing the Myrtle Beach, I will 100% be there. And the other place I can guarantee you I will not be there is the Hawaii Bowl. The Hawaii Bowl is on Christmas Eve. A little bit cost prohibitive. Also, I don't, going away on Christmas Eve, the wife would or going to Hawaii for Christmas and I'd have to take the wife, and she's not going to want to go because then the kids, and so I'm definitely not going to the Hawaii Bowl. If they're in the New Orleans Bowl or the Boca Raton Bowl or the two other, I guess possibilities or that people think are likely to happen, I may go to those. We'll see. I know the New Orleans Bowl is so Christmas Eve is on a Wednesday. The New Orleans Bowl is that Tuesday. So that means I'd be flying home on Wednesday. So that could be a little bit dicey.
Especially with the weather, and you never really know.
Yeah. So, we'll see. Like I said, I am rooting for one of two things. Either A, they have the fans in mind and they get the Myrtle Beach Bowl, right? We will bring lots of fans to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. But if they can't play in Myrtle Beach, I hope they do what's in the best interest of the team, what the team would want, and that would be to go to Hawaii, right? What team wouldn't want to go to Hawaii and play in a bowl game? So those are kind of the two options I want to see, just because one's easy for me to get to.
Who's the coach?
And the other's out of the question.
Who's the coach last year that took pictures and people were giving him all the flack?
That was Coastal Carolina. That was he went with the cheerleaders and stuff.
Yeah,
chugging the beer on the beach. That was Tim Beck at Coastal Carolina. Yeah. So
All right, Arkansas State, App State. Another game in which both teams are looking to become bowl eligible. We're going to jump to the fourth where it's 23-23. Jalen Rayner had just thrown an interception. App State's unable to move the ball, but they hit a 48-yard field goal to go up 3. Later in the fourth, App State would tack on another field goal to go up 6 with 1:38 left. Jalen Rayner would go 4 of 5 for 65 yards, and Kenyon Clay would run it 1 yard up the gut for a touchdown with 45 seconds left. The extra point puts the Red Wolves up 1. J.J. Cole would get the Mountaineers to the Arkansas State 27-yard line to set up the game-winning 45-yard field goal, but Dominic would miss it, and the Red Wolves escape Boone with a 1-point win and are now going bowling. UL Monroe, Louisiana. Louisiana's looking for their 6th win, and it would not be easy as this one would go to overtime, and that's where we're going to pick things up. ULM would get the ball first, and on the 3rd and goal from the 7, Hunter Herring would be intercepted by our defensive freshman of the week, Brent Gordon Jr. Then on the Raging Cajuns possession, they would be stopped on 3rd and goal from the 2, and Tony Sterner would come on for the game winner. And from 19 yards out, the lefty kicker nails it from the left hash. And the Raging Cajuns win this one 30-27 in overtime, and they are heading to a bowl game. South Alabama versus Texas State. Brad Jackson, who would account for 5 touchdowns and 393 yards of total offense of this one. as he threw for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 113, and 3 to lift the Bobcats to a 49-26 win over South Alabama, enough to catch the eye of Justice to say, you know what, that guy's going to be my offensive player of the week. While it was a 23-point win, it felt much larger as the Jaguars scored 12 points in 2.5 minutes late in this one. Nonetheless, Texas State will be bowling, and I think that's 3 years in a row for Texas State.
And G.J. Kinney jumped in the river. That's the tradition, right? The San Marcos River. They go to a bowl game. You have to jump in the river, and Coach Kinney did that after the game.
All right, now the one we all had our eyes on, Troy at Southern Miss. The winner heads to the Sun Belt Championship game. Let's jump to the Forest. Braylon Braxton had just connected with Carl Chester for a 10-yard touchdown, and then Micah Davis for a successful 2-point conversion. It's 21-18 in favor of Troy. Next Troy possession. There's no safety over the top. It's mano a mano. Ra Thomas burns Josh Moten, who's played spectacular all year, for a 75-yard touchdown on the first play after the Southern Miss touchdown. Troy is now up 28-18 with 3:16 left. Southern Miss would move the ball, but they ate up just like so much time. They tried a 46-yard field goal with 31 seconds left, but miss it. And Troy wins the Sun Belt West, and they will face the JMU Dukes for the conference championship. Justice looks on in disgust as he loses any of his Southern Miss tickets for a championship. You should have just
so close. Should have
just taken the buyout.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even look to see like what the. Yeah, man, I should have, but I didn't. Now I'm even more mad because I didn't even look to see what that was.
But amazing, honestly, like a bad last month for Southern Miss.
3 in a row. 3 in a row, man.
But really turned things around. It's amazing. The team had 2 wins last year, 1 win, and you're on the precipice of making the conference championship and you don't make it. And I am not a Southern Miss Eagles fan. I live here in Iowa. I'm upset. I can't imagine what fans are. And you just won one game last year. Like, it's take everything.
It was a bad collapse.
Right? But yeah, it was a good season overall. While it was disappointing, let's get to our final game in the Sun Belt. James Madison at Coastal Carolina. All JMU in this one as JMU rolls 59-10. James Madison had 525 total yards compared to Coastal's 170. Not to mention, JMU held Coastal Carolina to -5 yards rushing. That is the first time in school history Coastal Carolina has failed to gain a rushing yard in a game. Alonzo Burnett III threw 3 touchdowns, which running back Joby Marley ran for 154 yards and a touchdown to help the Dukes finish the Sun Belt a perfect 8-0. Sun Belt Conference Bowl eligibility. 4 teams make it this week. We have added Georgia Southern, Louisiana, Arkansas State, and Texas State for a total of 9. So that means we've got Arkansas State, we've got Texas State, we've got Coastal Carolina, we've got Louisiana, Southern Miss, Georgia Southern, Troy, ODU, and JMU.
The number 1 conference in the G5 in terms of bowl eligibility. And they've had that distinction for, I don't know if they had it last year, but I feel like 2 years ago they definitely had it. I think 2 years ago it was everybody but 2 teams made it. So the Sun Belt's done in recent years has done very good in terms of getting teams bowl eligibility.
Now, for those people who want to say like, oh, well, they've got the most teams. Okay, sure. But percentage, if you even want to look at it percentage-wise, they have the most teams in there. Next would be the American. we'll get to that later. I'll talk about that. But
yeah, but
if you want-
percentage-wise, they still have the most
Yep.
too.
They are still the most in that. So let's talk about our conference championship preview. Friday night, Troy at number 19 JMU, 7 p.m. Eastern. Justice, what are the lines we have? Let's break down the numbers.
All right. JMU is favored by 23.5, over under 47.5. I mean, I can't bet on JMU unless I drive about 10 miles down the road since I live in Virginia. And I might do that because, I mean, literally the only reason to not take JMU is because of this whole Bob Chesney coaching stuff. Troy, I just watched Old Dominion absolutely destroy and dominate Troy with 3 weeks ago, I guess now, on a Thursday night, man. Shut them out. And, like, they did not look like a good team. And I know what JMU can do. Saw what they did against Old Dominion. JMU is the only thing that, if I have any concern, it's the whole Bob Chesney leaving thing. But JMU should just absolutely dominate Troy. I mean, that JMU defense is gonna have a field day against Troy. Let's break it down. Let's look at when JMU has the ball. So JMU on offense, they are the 6th ranked rushing offense, averaging 239.8 yards per game. 88th ranked passing offense, 211.7 yards per game, and the 10th ranked scoring offense at 37.8 points per game. Look on over at the Troy defense. They're the 96th ranked rushing defense, giving up 171 yards a game. 48th ranked passing defense, 206.8 yards per game, and the 63rd scoring defense. This game should not be close. You got, Alonzo Barnett III. He is a weapon, dual threat, can beat you with the arm, beat you with the legs. They got Wayne Knight there at running back. He's had a phenomenal season, and then they got Sanchez, Nick DeGennaro, CJ Dupree, Lakota Dupree, CJ's younger brother there at tight end. They got Pat McMurtry at right tackle, one of the best tackles in all of college football. I mean, this JMU Duke team there really is no weakness in the team. Once Alonzo Barnett III got healthy and they stopped that quarterback rotation between him and Matt Sluka, it's kind of been wheels up. If you look at teams that have given trouble, that you look at the Washington State game, right? Like how did Washington State give JMU trouble? First of all, Washington State is a big and good team in the trenches on the offensive line and defensive line. Not too long ago, Washington State was in the Pac-12. They were a P4 team. So they had the hosses in the trenches, and they were able to run the ball and kind of play like an Army or a Navy game with JMU, right? Able to kind of control the clock, minimize possessions, etc. Troy is not going to be able to do that. They just don't. They don't have the offensive line, defensive line that Washington State has. When Troy is on defense, the names to look out for, I would say Jordan Stringer. He's their do it all linebacker. He's their playmaker, if you will. Their slot corner, Devin Lafayette's also very good. But man, I just watching what ODU did in the run game against Troy, like I don't see how they're going to stop this JMU running game. And then on the flip side, we go over to when Troy has the ball. You got Goose Crowder there at quarterback. They got Tay Meadows and Lovett there at running back. You got Roman Mothershed is one of their better receivers. Ethan Connor, the tight end. But here's the problem for the Troy offense, and that's going to be giving up sacks, man. They are dead last. They are the worst offensive line in all of college football in terms of giving up sacks, giving up 4 sacks per game. JMU is the 37th ranked defense in terms of sacks, 2.33 sacks per game. They are the 5th ranked rushing defense, only giving up 84.7 yards per game. They are the 12th ranked passing defense, 168.8 yards per game, and the 10th ranked scoring defense, only giving up 16 points per game. You look at the Troy offense and they're not really great at anything. 121st rushing offense, 83rd passing offense, 86th scoring offense. And like I said, last in terms of sacks allowed in all of college football. I don't see any way, shape, or form that Troy keeps this game close. Looking at we talked about the names to know for the offense of Troy. For the defensive side, Emmanuel Bush, the defensive tackle, the guy in the middle there for the JMU defensive line, he is a hoss. You got Trent Hendrick there at linebacker, and then you got the two safeties are phenomenal, and Jacob Thomas and Brown. Just a really, really stout JMU defense. I just don't see how Troy even puts up 10 points in this game. Give me JMU laying the points all day long. Like I said, the only concern I have is the whole Bob Chesney situation. But I think this team, I think this team, is on a mission to try and make the college football playoffs, and I think they are going to absolutely throttle the Troy Trojans.
Is it Goose Crowder going to play, or is it Kilcrease?
It could be both, right? That's what we saw against ODU. I mean,
if anything, though,
I think it's gonna be both, because neither one of them's gonna be effective, and so they're gonna rotate them, right?
So you got the Dukes, which are a dog, right?
Yep.
Goose.
The Dukes are gonna eat the goose. They're gonna have goose for dinner, 100%.
Boom! It's like Duck Hunter, but with goose.
I mean, it's just a bad recipe. Like ODU had 9 or 10 sacks against Troy. This JMU defensive front is going to eat that Troy offensive lineup, and it's going to be bad news for Goose or for Tucker, who's ever back there, because that Duke defensive line is going to be living in the backfield again. This is a game I had no interest in watching, because it's, in my opinion, it's just not going to be a game. It's going to be an absolute throttling. Not a good game to watch.
All right, let's move on to our Mountain West Conference Week 14 in review. Friday games: Air Force at Colorado State. Time of possession was the story of this one, as Air Force would hold the ball for 40 minutes and 47 seconds of the 60 minutes, which obviously limits the Rams' opportunities. Air Force would lead this game wire to wire on the back of their rushing attack, as the Falcons would run the ball 61 times for 316 yards and 4 touchdowns. Owen Allen had 25 of those 61 attempts for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. Air Force wins this one 42-21. I do want to call out Lloyd Avant, as he had 3 rushes for 11 yards and 1 touchdown for Colorado State. But what was impressive was what he did in the air. He had 8 catches for 135 yards. Owen Long also finished Friday. I didn't look to see what at the end of Saturday it looked like, but at the end of Friday, he had 17 tackles and 1 sack to finish the year with 134 total tackles, which at the time put them in the lead of most tackles in the nation. Owen Long had a phenomenal season there at linebacker for the Rams. San Diego State versus New Mexico. This one was electric. It was a back and forth all game, and we saw one hell of a game Friday night. It was 17-17 after 4 quarters. Even 1 overtime wasn't enough. In overtime, San Diego State would get the ball first. They're going to throw an interception. New Mexico, they're going to pull out the victory. However, they would fumble the ball on a second and goal play from the 4-yard line. We're going to head to a second overtime. New Mexico wasted no time as Jack Lane would find Cade Keith for a 25-yard touchdown. And remember, in the second overtime, you have to go for 2. New Mexico calls a great play, but it just took so long to execute. They were called for holding as Lane found Keegan Johnson in the end zone. They would have to retry this time from the 11. No good. San Diego State now down 6 on 3rd and 10. Denegal would rush for 15 yards, probably one of his most explosive plays of the night. But what a killer. What do you know? What's a big killer? Penalties. On 1st and goal from the New Mexico 10, San Diego State would commit 3 false starts. Some of them, two of them might have been a little ticky-tack, but, I mean, the rules are the rules. It's a now 1st and 20 from the New Mexico 20. After a Christian Washington 6-yard run, the Lobos defense would get back-to-back sacks. It's a now 4th and 30 from the New Mexico 30, and Jaden's pass is incomplete. The Lobos win, and they're going to need some help from Utah State to make their first ever trip to the Mountain West Championship game. Let's get to it. Boise State at Utah State. After 3 quarters, Utah State has a 24-19 lead. The 4th quarter was about missed opportunities, in my opinion. To start the 4th, it was 4th and 2 on the Boise State 12 for Utah State, and they go for it. I don't know. You're up 24-19. You go for it. Okay, I get it. All right. Bryson Barnes gets stopped for a 2-yard loss. Boise takes over. That field goal would have put them up 8. They don't do it. Whatever. Boise State now flips the field, but they would need a punt after an 11-yard rush from Javen Jacobs. Utah State would not be able to get another first down. They have to punt it back. Then Boise is at the Utah State 32, and Sire Gaines fumbles the ball back to Utah State, and Utah State turns the ball over, and Boise finally makes them pay as they travel 41 yards to cap it off with a Dylan Riley 6-yard touchdown run, but the Broncos would not get the 2-point conversion, so they're only up 1, 25-24. The teams would trade possessions. Utah State now has the ball with 1:24 left. Barnes runs it from the right hash all the way to the left. It just ate up clock, though. Utah State gets called for a hold, which brought the Aggies back to their own 19 with 19 seconds left. And then Bryson Barnes finds Braden Pagan for 20 yards. Then Anthony Garcia for 32 to put them in field goal range. And Bronco, he's like 1 second. However, I don't know what game he was watching because Bryson Barnes still had the ball in his hands when time expires. He throws it. Time runs out. Boise State holds on to win this one 25-24. Moving on to Saturday games, UNLV, Nevada. It was all UNLV in this one as they're up 28-3 at the half following a UNLV sack fumble with about a minute to go in the 3rd. UNLV would take their time as they marched down the field for 56 yards in 4 minutes and 52 seconds. And we saw Jaden Thomas run it in from 1 yard out to put UNLV up 42-10 with about 11 minutes to go in the game. The Rebels would win 42-17, and Jaden Thomas was key in UNLV's successes. He had 103 yards, 4 touchdowns on 11 carries. About half of his carries were touchdowns. Just amazing. UNLV clinches a share of the Mountain West Conference regular season title with Boise State, New Mexico, and San Diego State. So this win marks the 4th time UNLV has won double-digit games in a season, and it's the first time in program history UNLV has had back-to-back 10-plus win seasons. Now we've got 2 more games to get to before we get to the fun of the championship game. Fresno State at San Jose State. This one was ugly. San Jose State's only points in the first half were from an E.J. Warner interception that Justice's Defensive Player of the Week, Jordan Pollard, took 58 yards to the house, but it was Fresno on top heading into the locker room 21-7 in the 3rd quarter. was ugly as San Jose State would throw an interception, have a turnover on downs, punt while Fresno punted twice, scored 3 points on an Xavier Ward interception. In the fourth, we saw Xavier Ward throw 2 more interceptions for San Jose State. Fresno State would fumble, however, they would score 17 points and win by a final score of 41-14. And then in the finale, Wyoming at Hawaii in the first quarter, Mike Alejandro would throw 2 touchdowns. However, one goes to the Cowboys. So that one really doesn't count. But in the second quarter, it was a field positioning game with the exception of a 78-yard touchdown pass from Alejandro to Jackson Harris, who's had a monster end to the season. Hawaii would be up 20-7 at the half. Hawaii would score on the opening drive of the second half to make it 27-7. And those would be the only points scored by either team in the second half. Hawaii wins this one 27-7. Now, bowl eligibility in the Mountain West, no new teams are added, so there are 7 total teams in the Mountain West. You've got Boise, you've got New Mexico, Hawaii, UNLV, Fresno State, San Diego State. And you've got those 4, and Utah State, if I didn't mention them. You've got Boise, New Mexico, UNLV, San Diego State. We're all tied. Who goes to the conference championship game? The computers. We got to go to the computers. We got to go to the computers on Sunday. I can't remember if it was like 9 a.m. Central, 10. It was fairly early on Sunday. But like I said, Boise State, New Mexico State, San Diego State, UNLV all finished 6-2 records in conference play. And because all 4 teams did not meet this season, the tie was broken by a composite average of a nationally recognized metrics, the Conley SP+, ESPN SOR, KPI, and Sport Source rankings. UNLV led the foursome with a composite average of 45.5, followed by Boise State at 47.75. With the 2 participants determined, the tiebreaker reverted to a head-to-head to determine who would host, and with the Broncos earning the right to host the championship due to their 56-31 win over the Rebels back in October. That was October 18th. We're going to have UNLV at Boise State. San Diego State finished 3rd in the group with a composite average of 51, and New Mexico finished 4th with 54.75. Honestly, those 2 scores weren't close to the other ones, even though I think, honestly, both of them deserve it.
Yes.
So, me personally, I think San Diego State is probably one of the better teams in the Mountain West. But the game is what the game is. Like, New Mexico beat you. I think it should be UNLV versus New Mexico, personally. But
Yeah.
Here we are. UNLV will be appearing in its 3rd Mountain West Championship contest, and it's seeking its first title. Boise State will be playing in the championship game for the 4th straight season and seeking its 3rd straight title. This marks the 3rd consecutive seasons the Broncos and Rebels will meet for that Mountain West title. What are the numbers?
Man, like I'm with you. I just feel so bad for New Mexico, man. I really feel like they should have been in that championship game. All right, Boise State is favored by 3.5, over under of 58.5. It does look like right now weather could be a factor in the game. 48 degrees, and it looks like there is some rain in the forecast, so that could have an impact there. The game is in Boise on the Smurf turf. All right, let's look when Boise has the ball on offense. All right, the Boise State rushing offense is ranked 30th in the nation, 189.8 yards per game. Passing offense is 57th, 240.6 yards per game. Scoring offense, they are ranked 42nd, 30.8 yards per game. The UNLV defense, not their strong suit. The thing they do best is sack the quarterback. They're ranked 37th in sacks per game. 2.33 sacks per game. Rushing defense, they're 103rd. Passing defense, they're 112th. Scoring defense, 89th. So they're going to want to get after quarterback Max Cutforth. That's the thing they do. They do the best. That's gonna be the key. I think the key to victory for UNLV is getting pressure on Max Cutforth. And but to do that, they're gonna have to stop this Boise State running game, which is a pretty tall order for this defense. I have no doubt that Boise State's going to want to run the ball with Sire Gaines and Dylan Riley and Malik Sherrod. When they are throwing the ball, you got Bates, Caples, you got Chris Marshall, Matt Lauder. But I think, given that the strength of the UNLV defense is the pass rush and sacking the quarterback, and the strength of the offense for Boise State's run the ball, and their plethora of running backs, that's what you're going to see, right? They're going to try to feed those running backs, lean on them as much as possible, and limit the times Max Cutforth has to drop back and pass the ball. Man, I think it should be a good game. Two really good offenses, but man, I just don't know. I don't know if UNLV is going to have much success stopping the run. If you look at the UNLV defense, their playmakers are Chief Borders there on the edge, Marcel McDuffie at linebacker, and Jake Pope there at free safety. Those are the big playmakers for UNLV on the defensive side of the ball. Now, when UNLV is on offense and they have the ball, the UNLV offense pretty potent in their own right. They're the 17th ranked rushing offense, 35th ranked passing offense, and 12th ranked scoring offense. The Boise State defense, they're pretty good against the pass. They're ranked 11th. Not so good against the run, ranked 86th and 55th scoring defense. Should be a lot of points scored. I think the key to the game is what can UNLV do, or how they handle that rushing offense. Players to keep an eye on when UNLV has the ball. It's going to be Anthony Calandria, their quarterback. He's a dual threat guy. He is a dynamic playmaker. You got Jaden Jet Thomas at running back. He is dynamic. He is fast. Will they finally listen and give him 20 touches in a game? I feel like they're going to need to in this game. We'll see. There's no shortage of weapons in the passing game for Calandria. You got Jaden Bradley. You got Nick Elksness. You got Troy O'Meary. Last week you saw
JoJo.
That wasn't JoJo. Was it the Tayshawn Lyons?
Oh.
Tayshawn Lyons had a big game, but a lot of weapons on this UNLV offense. On the defensive side of the ball, names Amari McCoy, one of the top cornerbacks in all the G5. He's there for Boise State. Jeremiah Irby, the other corner, is very good. You got Jaden Virgin Morgan, the edge, and then Ty Benefield, the safety. Those are the kind of the names to watch on that Boise State defense. I think it's going to be a close game. I think I'm going to give the edge to UNLV because of the quarterback situation for Boise State. I think UNLV is going to be able to sell out to stop the run, and then have to put pressure on Max Cutforth to try and win the game. So give me UNLV laying the points, but I think it's going to be a really good game. Should be a close game, but I do think UNLV gets some revenge and gets the win against the Broncos this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be UNLV. I think, when you look at the two teams, I think UNLV can pass and run, where like you said, Boise State's more one-dimensional. And we've seen this backfield, while they've have a three-headed monster, they've been known to turn the ball over. Also, Calandria, known to throw a couple interceptions.
Yeah.
He's going to have some, So I think we're going to see some turnovers in this one. Obviously, I think McCoy and Benefield are going to play and be huge. I expect one of them to have an interception in this one. But, call it cliche, but whoever has the least amount of turnovers probably wins this one. But I think, even if UNLV has 2 turnovers, they probably still have a chance to win this, even if Boise State doesn't. And I think it's just because they have the ability to score running and passing, and I just don't see that from Boise State. All right, let's head on over to our Mid-American Conference Week 14 games in review. Tuesday, we have Bowling Green at UMass. UMass had 39 total yards of offense about 3 minutes into the second quarter, and were down 28-0 before the Minutemen would score on back-to-back possessions, cut the lead to 14 going into the half. After half, UMass would have 2 punts and 2 turnover on downs, while Bowling Green would able to add 17 more points, and Bowling Green would win this one 45-14 as the Falcons finish 4-8 in Coach Eddie George's first season as head coach. Austin Dendy, 22 rushes, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception for 11 yards and a touchdown. He's a good young talent that if you're not aware of, you need to keep an eye on. I think he played in his 5th game, and foreshadowing in our 2020 players, I added him. I've kept him from it because he hadn't played in a lot, but he's played the last 5 games, and he's been killing it. So I've decided to add him. After being independent for the last 9 seasons, UMass is the 19th team to finish 0-12 or worse in FBS history. UMass ranks last in the FBS in scoring offense and 3rd to last in scoring defense, and bottom 5 in several other categories. A season to forget in their first one here in the MAC. UMass was kind of your get-right team. Akron scored 34 points in their win over UMass, got its largest win since 2002. Bowling Green, with its 31-point win over UMass, got its largest win since 2026. Temple beat UMass by 32 points to get its largest win since 2019. Northern Illinois' 42-point win over UMass was its largest win since 2019. Iowa, they can't put up points. They scored 40-point win over UMass to get its largest win since 2020. Central Michigan, 25-point win over UMass, got its largest win since 2020. And then Kent State's 36-point win over UMass was its largest win since 2021. You need to get right game if you schedule UMass, but a season to forget for the Minutemen. Western Michigan versus Eastern Michigan. After, honestly, a surprising first quarter in terms of score, we saw Eastern Michigan up 7-0. The Broncos would wake up, though, after that and score 31 unanswered points by leaning heavily on their running game and that rock-solid defense. Western Michigan defense created 5 turnovers. The offense would turn the first 4 turnovers into 28 points. Eastern Michigan would score 2 touchdowns and only convert 1 of 2 2-point conversions in the 4th, but they would not be able to overcome those turnovers as the Broncos win this one 31-21. And that score is a bit misleading as it didn't really feel as close as a 10-point game should. Western Michigan punches their ticket to Detroit, and it is their first appearance in the MAC championship game since 2016. A little preview. I have a feeling Tate Hollick is going to make his name known in this conference championship game, a name that we will have to keep an eye on in that Saturday game. And what a year 2025 been for Western Michigan. They win the national championship in hockey, and then they win the conference regular season title, and here they are looking to win the conference championship. I do want to give a quick shout out to Dante McMillan. He always likes our stuff on Instagram. Big fan over there on Instagram. This was his last season, and in that last season, he went over 1,000 yards on the ground for the first time in his college career. EMU finishes 4-8 and concludes its year finishing a second consecutive campaign without a bowl game and its third straight season under 500. You got to think that seat is pretty warm there.
Chris Creighton.
For Chris Creighton, yeah. Friday, Ohio at Buffalo. After one half of football, it felt like any minute now would begin Ohio's thumping of Buffalo, but that never happened. As the Bulls would keep it close, as Taquan Roberson rushed one in from 5 yards out 1 minute into the fourth quarter. Buffalo's down 9 early in the fourth. After an Ohio punt, Buffalo would get a first down, but then on the very next play, throw an interception to Kendall Bannister, and Ohio would turn that turnover into 3 points, and the Bobcats are now up 12. Buffalo would answer quick with a Roberson to Gathing's touchdown pass, a drive that would only take 1 minute and 37 seconds. It's now 31-26 with 3:47 left. Ohio would run the clock plus get a first down, but would eventually have to punt the ball back to Buffalo. Now the Bulls take over from their own 12, 20 seconds left, but that's way too far to go for this offense in 20 seconds as the Bobcats outlast Buffalo on the road and win this one 31-26 to get their MAC championships hope. Keep them alive. They're still alive. Kent State, Northern Illinois. This game had no MAC championship bowl or bowl eligibility in this one, so let's just hop to an exciting fourth quarter in which NIU had just kicked a field goal to go up 24-20. Kent State would fumble within 15 seconds of having the ball as Taylor Powell would return it 49 yards to the 1 of Kent State, and Siobhan Wright punched it in from 1 yard out to go up 11 with 14 minutes left to go in the fourth. Kent State would respond with a touchdown of their own, then force Northern Illinois to punt. From there, Kent State would jump on the back of Gavin Garcia as he would rush for 65 yards and end the drive with a touchdown to put the Golden Flashes up for good. Kent State wins 35-31. I believe I said last week. Am I crazy to think Kent State wins this one? You said no. If you want tomorrow's news today, G5 Hive. Garcia's 151 rushing yards was a career high. He became the first Kent State rusher to rush for over 80 yards in a game this season. And Garcia's day was actually the most production on the ground Kent State has seen since November 1st, 2022, when Marquez Cooper had 231 yards rushing. With the loss, NIU falls to 3-9 is the Mountain West bound. Saturday games, Toledo at Central Michigan. I like Central Michigan in this one, just as like Toledo. In a snowy affair, Toledo would win on the back of two big plays from Chip Trainum. First was a 57-yard receiving touchdown from Toledo's backup, Caleb Osborne. Gleason would be knocked out of the game after a fumble on an 8-yard scamper. We talked about that in the opening. Toledo would retain the ball, however, and that touchdown put the Rockets up 7-3 after 3 quarters of football. Following a turnover on downs, Chip would break off a 37-yard run for a touchdown to put Toledo up 21-3 with 1:49 left. That's all she wrote. Toledo keeps their hopes alive for a MAC championship. And then the final game with implications for the MAC championship is Ball State at Miami. A high-flying first quarter gave us a 21-10 Miami lead. In the second quarter, it calmed down a bit, but the Red Hawks were able to score 10 to go up 31-10 at the half. And following a Ball State 3-and-out to open the second half, Miami would score a touchdown, and they go on to win this one 45-24 on the arm of Thomas Gakowski. Thomas threw for 226 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Red Hawks punched their ticket to Detroit to face the Broncos of Western Michigan. How did this happen? Head-to-head was not applicable because all 3 teams did not play each other. Ohio and Toledo did not play each other. The tiebreaker moved to a winning percentage against all common opponents. So we're looking at Ball State We're looking at Northern Illinois. We're looking at Western Michigan. Miami finished with a 3-0 record against those common opponents, while Toledo was 2-1 and Ohio was 1-2, thus granting Miami the tiebreaker advantage and the spot in the title game against Western Michigan. However, when you look at it, you would think Toledo might be on top, that they would be there, but no, it's because of those common opponents and the 3-0 wins Miami have. So it's Miami versus Western Michigan in the conference championship. MAC bowl eligibility, there were no new teams to be added, so there are 5 that are going to be bowling: Western Michigan, Ohio, Central Michigan, Toledo, and Miami. All conferences, Justice touched on it earlier, the Sun Belt leads with 9 of 14 teams going. The American has 8 of 14 teams going. Then CUSA and the Mountain West each have 7 of their 12 teams going, and then the MAC has 5 of 13 going, and then UConn and Washington State will be going bowling. Now let's get to that conference championship preview. Miami versus Western Michigan. Justice, what are the numbers we're looking at?
We got Western Michigan favored by 2.5, over under 43.5. The game is inside, so weather is a non-factor in this game. The game's in Detroit on Ford Field. Let's take a look at this Western Michigan offense. They like to run the ball, and run the ball some more. They're the 32nd ranked rushing offense in college football, averaging 189.2 yards per game, 129th passing offense, 96 scoring offense. We look at that Miami defense. They're pretty good against the run. 28th rushing defense in college football, only allowing 117.8 yards per game. But the other thing they're really, really good at is sacks. They are the 3rd ranked defense in sacks per game, averaging 3.17 sacks per game. The Western Michigan offensive line is ranked 55th in terms of sacks allowed, giving up 1.67 sacks per game. So when Western Michigan's got the ball, it's going to be strength on strength, right? You got Brock Lowry there, their dual threat quarterback. You got Jalen Buckley. They're going to look to run the ball with those 2 guys behind one of the best centers in the G5, Raheem Anderson II. He's the guy to make note of on this offensive line. But it's really the Brock Lowry and Jalen Buckley show. And how are they going to be able to do running the ball against this Miami defense? You look at the Miami defense, the name you have to absolutely know is defensive end Adam Trick, one of the top defensive linemen, edge rushers, all of college football in terms of havoc rate. He has had a phenomenal season. He's one of the highest graded edges in all of college football as well, according to PFF. Other names to know for this Miami defense: linebacker Corbin Hondrew. He can do it all. He can play in pass coverage. He can drop back in pass coverage and rush the quarterback. Also good in run support. And the same with the safety Eli Blakey, one of the top safeties in all of college football. Again, he can do it all as well. He's good in pass coverage as well as run support. One of the top tackling safeties in the G5.
What it's just kind of funny. Coming into the season, we were not high on Western Michigan. Why? Their quarterback play.
Yeah.
The whole reason they're in this conference championship and won the regular
because
season.
of the quarterback.
Quarterback play. Wild year.
And it's not really like the same concerns are kind of like still there, right, with Lowry, right? Like it's the passing ability where he seems
it's
to
going to be Talik Williams. That's going to be his guy. And look for 1, maybe 2 explosive plays. That's going to be because of Talik Williams. It's not going to be a 40-yard pass. if there is a 40-yard pass to Talik Williams, it's because he threw it 1 yard and Talik Williams got for the 39. I think back to that game at Western Michigan. They're playing Central Michigan, and he was like bottled up on the sideline, and he like did a magician, like Houdini act. He was here and then he was there. You're looking for one big play out of him, and then the Lowry and Buckley can run the ball. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that's the. I like Western Michigan, but man, they're just so one-dimensional on offense that really worries me. And this Miami defense is pretty stout, like I said. You know, the things that they do well, it is strength on strength, right? It's the running game of Western Michigan against that run defense of Miami, and so it's going to be an interesting dynamic. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't expect there to be a lot.
I expect this one to be like 17-14.
Yeah, Western Michigan's favored by 2.5, over under 43.5. Man, yeah. I feel like playing the under in this one. I just think it's going to be a low scoring affair. Yeah. If moving over to when Miami has the ball, I would feel a lot better if DeQuan Finn was still the quarterback. But he left. It's the Henry Hessen show for Miami on when Miami's on offense. You got Jordan Brunson there at tailback, and then you got Cam Perry. Man, Cam Perry, you talk about deep threats, man. Cam Perry is one of the top deep threats in all of the G5. He is a burner. Look for them to try to hit him over the top. And then you got Weaver and Reynolds there to kind of do the dirty work in the middle. I don't know. Henry Hessen, I don't think has really played bad, but he's not a dynamic dual threat athlete like DeQuan Finn, right? So, I mean, look for them to feed Jordan Brunson and take deep shots to Cam Perry when they're on offense. If you look at this Western Michigan defense, it starts up front with the man on the edge there, Ndame Tucker, one of the top edge rushers in all of college football. And then the other name to know that Luke alluded to earlier is safety Tate Halleck. When Western Michigan is on defense, Miami is on offense. Miami is ranked 69th in rushing offense, averaging 159.3 yards per game, 101st in passing offense, 195.9 yards per game. But then you look at this Western Michigan defense, man. 38th against the run, 18th against the pass, 16th in scoring defense, and 14th in sacks per game. This is a stout defense on both sides of the ball for Western Michigan and Miami. Two really, really good defensive units. I expect a low-scoring affair. Man, I probably give the edge to Western Michigan, but man, to me, the only thing I'd be comfortable betting is the under. To your point, it's going to be like 17-10 or 17-14, something like that.
I think it's going to come out to who can get stops on third down. Whose offense is able to convert on.
And obviously protecting the ball.
Yeah, but I think that's what it's going to come down to.
I mean, it's going to be a good competitive game. I think all these games are going to be fun. The one game, like I can tell you, I just don't think. I mean, I'm going to watch it because it's football, but the Sun Belt game is the one game of all these conference championships that I just feel like it's not going to be a very entertaining game. I just think JMU is going to absolutely destroy Troy. But I think all the rest of these games are going to be fun, and they're all different, right? You got the big offensive game probably there with North Texas and Tulane to the MAC championship, which looks like shaping up to be a defensive battle.
It'll be like a Big Ten type battle of defense on defense. The cool thing is that it's the only Saturday game for the G5. Everything else is played on Friday, so it'll get lost in the mix of everything else. But it'll give you something to watch during lunchtime.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to sitting down and watching the game. So. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for tonight. Like I said, 2020 players next week. It'll be a little bit shorter show. We only have the 5 conference games, the championship games that we'll go over. Then we have the Army Navy game, and then I think at most we don't know like how the bowl games are going to shake out, where the G5 is going to be, but I think at most there would be 3 bowl game previews for next week, assuming all 3 of them have G5 teams in them. So we're going to do our final 2020 players of the 2025 season next week, and it's gonna wrap it up for tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. On X, give us a follow, and if you're listening on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. We're so grateful for everyone's immense amount of support that we have received throughout the year, and we sincerely thank each and every one of you. Be sure to join us next week as we discuss what happened in the conference championship games. We'll give you our final 2025-2020 players. Look forward to the Army-Navy game, as well as kick off our bowl game previews. And as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. Until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.
First